released in 1960, The Magnificent Seven seemed like just another Hollywood production line shoot-'em-up. Yet, it went on to spawn 3 sequels and a hit television series. Today, it is a much-loved classic. The Magnificent Seven launched the careers of several major movie stars, Elmer Bernstein's unforgettable theme, and a saddlebag full of great lines.
That was the greatest shot I've ever seen.
The worst. Was aiming at the horse.
The Magnificent Seven was a pivotal movie, poised between the Western's golden age and its death by television.
In other Westerns, it was more, shoot 'em up, but this was about the morality issue of being a gunslinger. I mean, you could see when he's speaking to Yul Brynner and they're talking to the young guy, they say families don't have any, children don't have any, you have no place to go. I mean, it was unheard of to talk about that back then.
Places you're tied down to, none. People with a hold on you, none. Men you step aside for, none.
Insult swallowed, none. Enemies, none.
No enemies?
Alive.
In terms of the Western, it was the beginning of the end of the great American Westerns. Look, in 1959 you had Rio Bravo. In 1960 you had The Magnificent Seven. Literally 4 or 5 years later, now you had Sergio Leone coming on the scene with his Clint Eastwood Westerns, which basically was the death knell of the Western. That was transformed it into something else. And by that time, television and Italian spaghetti Westerns had kind of done it in. So it's kind of the last hurrah.
It is ironic that one of the most original and influential movies to come out of Hollywood should itself be a direct remake of another film, Akira Kurosawa's The Seven Samurai.
To my mind, The Seven Samurai is the greatest film ever made. It's like all of Shakespeare wrapped into one film. It's a great action film, it's a great character drama, it's a great moral story, It's the cinematography, the editing, the music, fantastic.
It was the first Japanese film that I'd ever seen. I saw it, I think, probably about 12 times in about 12 days. I was taken to see it, and I took everybody that I knew to see it.
I felt that it was one of the great Westerns of all time, only it was made by the Japanese, in the Japanese idiom. But the form and the whole design of it was an ideal Western.
This is perhaps no surprise, as Kurosawa was himself influenced by the Westerns of John Ford. But several people were to claim credit for deciding to remake the Japanese movie in Hollywood.
I got home and called my lawyer in Tokyo, who's a great friend of mine. With the difference of time, it was just right. I got him in his office, and I asked him to buy all the rights to The Seven Samurai. When I woke up the next morning, I had a cable confirming that I had acquired all the rights, and they were all mine. And of course, it was all done with the idea of making The Magnificent Seven out of it.
Brynner may well have spotted The Seven Samurai's potential, but it was the unknown Lou Morheim who beat him to the draw.
I can't pinpoint why I thought this would be a good American Western. All I knew was that that's the vision I had. When and how it occurred, I don't know. But I know that when I left the theater, I turned to my wife and I said, this would make a classic American Western.
In fact, it was Morheim and not Brynner who optioned the rights for a meager $250 and got the interest of Anthony Quinn.
Tony Quinn at the time was directing a movie starring Yul Brynner. And he had shown the movie to Yul Brynner. And Yul Brynner reacted like all of us that preceded him. My God, this is a magnificent movie.
Brynner bought Morheim's remake rights. According to a press report at the time, Quinn was to take the lead role. Morheim would produce, and Brenner, an accomplished photographer, would direct.
At one point he said he might direct it, but then I suppose he came in touch with the producers and the people who are in charge, and they decided, I mean, why lose this great actor?
During the period I was on, it was always Ewell. Ewell was going down, and he was looking forward to it. I was very sorry that he never had a career as a director. I think he would have been a good one. He was a very good still photographer. He had a very good eye. He understood actors, and it's a shame, I think, that he never did.
Brenner called in director Martin Ritt, with whom he'd been working on The Sound and the Fury, to develop the project. Ritt hired screenwriter Walter Bernstein, a blacklist victim who had written 2 recent westerns. Bernstein's draft was close to the original Seven Samurai, the characters older and more world-weary. The 7 weren't gunfighters, but Civil War veterans.
Well, to start, the main character, the part that Ewell played, I based much more on what the character was like in the Seven Samurai. There's the image that we had in mind was someone like Spencer Tracy, that is an older man and not as physical as the others. It was much more of a pastiche of the original film, I think, than what eventually happened.
By the time Bernstein had finished his first draft, Ritt had left the project. It then passed to independent producer Walter Mirisch, who had experience in making westerns. Mirisch was one of Hollywood's new breed, outside of the studio system. Just like the characters in the movie, he set about assembling his own team of freelance professionals.
My first instinct was to call my friend John Sturgis, who among many other westerns had made the gunfight at the OK Corral. We had recently concluded a deal with John, and I said to him that I thought I had found the ideal first property for us. We immediately began talking about possible writers, and John suggested Walter Newman.
As Walter Newman, who penned scripts for Ace in the Hole and The Man with the Golden Arm, took over writing duties, director Sturgis asserted that he wanted the sole producer credit on the movie. This upset Lou Morheim, who filed a lawsuit. The Magnificent Seven moved downtown for a showdown at the courthouse.
I really worshipped this film, and having been responsible for the approach to the Japanese film, I wanted to be associated with this film as the producer. The Mirisch Company and United Artists came to me via their lawyer and said, what would you accept to settle? And so there was a settlement made where there was money paid, and the credit was reduced from producer to associate producer. I was willing at that time to accept it because once you get into a courtroom, you have no idea what the outcome might be.
Morheim was not the only one gunning for the film's producers. Angry at being written out of the script once Sturgis took over, Anthony Quinn sued Brenner and United Artists for $650,000 in damages. Quinn lost, but even Morheim's settlement proved a hollow victory, and he had no further involvement in the film he helped bring to the screen. It would be Sturgis who would be forever credited with finding the Magnificent Seven.